In his 1947 book The Tarot, A Key to the Wisdom of the Ages, Paul Foster Case presents us with a black and white tarot deck, inspired by the mystery teachings of Kabbalah, where each of the 22 keys within the major arcana is represented by one of the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. These keys are displayed in chronological order, and follow the alphabet also displayed in order. Case then divides them into three main sections. The top row stands for powers, the middle row agencies, and the bottom row conditions and effects. This allows the practitioner to not only read the keys horizontally, but vertically and diagonally as well. In the vertical approach, the Chariot, for example, modifies the world through temperance, while in the diagonal, the Magician modifies the world through justice. The focus of this book, however, is on the more conventional horizontal approach, which offers a slow but steady progression to the world, one key at a time. Each key presents itself as both a contrast and complement to the previous one, an evolution of sorts, an evolution that ultimately begins with the Fool, the archetype that precedes all other archetypes, the intangible no-thing that has yet to become manifest in the world. Its letter is Aleph, meaning bull or ox, a god symbol of early agricultural civilizations. The Fool is the mysterious creative energy, the all-pervading life power that animates every living creature, ever elusive and forever on the verge of manifestation. Next is the Magician, representing self-consciousness or ego consciousness. His letter is Bet, meaning house. The house's deeper mysteries are found in the Hermetic sciences, like architecture and geometry. The Magician, like Hermes himself, is the I Am who commands the elements of nature through willpower, with which he concentrates and channels the divine energies of superconsciousness, drawing them down to earth, as above, so below. The High Priestess is the first mother, the spiritual bride and daughter. She symbolizes the subconscious. Her letter is Gimel, meaning camel, the merchant ship of the desert, joining peoples and towns and cities together, just like the subconscious does within the psyche. As the subconscious, the High Priestess is the keeper of records, all past events, both personal and universal. She represents that which was, is, and shall be. She's the sacred feminine goddess who holds the more secretive powers of nature. The Empress is a childbearing mother and the patroness of love, seduction, beauty, and art. Her letter is Dalet, meaning door. The door represents passage from one place to another, and also suggests defense, protection, and safekeeping. The Empress represents the more active and productive side of the subconscious. She's impregnated with the seeds of imagination. As the feminine ruling power, the Empress orders all of nature. Her consort, the masculine ruling power, is the Emperor, the original father and grand architect of the cosmos. The Emperor is related to the reasoning faculties. His letter is He, which means window, that which permits light and air into the house. He is also related to outlook, survey, supervision, and control. As the architect of three-dimensional reality, the Emperor is often represented by the cube. He's also generally associated with rulership, governance, guidance, leadership, and war. The Hierophant is the one who hears the subtle voice of the divine. He's the high priest of the ancient mystery schools. His letter is Vav, meaning nail, which is something that supports. More importantly, the nail joins. It fastens and links things together. As such, the Hierophant links personal consciousness to universal consciousness, bridging the world of matter to that of the heavens. He's a revealer of sacred things, the one who gives verbal form to transcendent knowledge. The lovers cooperate through discrimination, always adjusting to one another. Their letter is Zion, meaning sword or weapon. The sword cleaves, cuts, divides, and separates. Here, the self-conscious and subconscious parts of the psyche are becoming intimately aware of each other. Through the recognition of their opposite yet complementary aspects, both can begin to work together harmoniously under a higher power. The Chariot, or Charioteer, also sometimes known as Victory, is the one who through triumph becomes king. His letter is Kaith, meaning fence, which suggests an enclosure, or a specific area that is set apart from the others. Kaith is related to speech, which like the fence defines and encloses particular fields of consciousness. Through the control of language, the charioteer combines and tames the powers of the self-conscious and subconscious, which allows him to not only receive but also execute the divine will. Strength or force represents the artistic transmutation of the lower forces. Her letter is Tet, meaning snake, the cosmic electricity, and also the shapeshifter, sometimes known as the father of lies, who when mastered becomes the instrument of salvation. Strength is a creative imagination in full control of this serpent power. She shows how the lower forces of the subconscious can be programmed and transmuted into higher consciousness. The Hermit represents the state in which the highest manifestation of self-consciousness is experienced. His letter is Yud, meaning the open hand of man. The open hand indicates self-conscious initiative, aptitude for power, direction, skill, and dexterity. At his highest, the Hermit's the one who through spirit has attained supreme freedom, he who lives in unspeakable bliss, and who lights the way for those who seek the same. He's the Christos that is begotten, not made. The Wheel of Fortune represents the unchangeable rhythms of an ever-spinning universe, a giant wheel of cause and effect. Its letter is Kaf, meaning the hand that grasps. To grasp is to hold, to comprehend, to master. What can be mentally grasped is what appears clear, intelligible, and explicit. The wheel symbolizes each and all cycles of the cosmos, the universal rhythm. It shows us that what goes around comes around. The Wheel of Fortune also offers a vision into the future for those who are wise enough to read the meaning of the present within the history of the past. Justice, esoterically speaking, is what we understand as karma. It's an inward and spiritual kind of retribution, from which we gain instruction. To instruct is actually what its letter, Lamed, means. As a noun, Lamed means ox goad, that which urges and guides the manifestation of the cosmic energies. Justice tells us that to achieve a truly balanced, self-directed, and confident self, we must work for it, and must also always be ready to get rid of any excess baggage. True justice is balanced, accurate, and fair. It signifies the active administration of the highest spiritual law. The Hangman reminds us of our utter dependence on the higher realms. His letter is Mem, meaning seas or water. Water is the mother, the root, and the primordial mirror, reflecting our image upside down. The hanged or suspended man is the one who has suspended his mind and surrendered it to the universal mind. He is there to help us realize that we ourselves are vehicles to a higher power that despite appearances is always working towards the good. Death is motion towards change within and without. It's the liberation from one dimension and the entry into another. Its letter is Nun, meaning fish. As a verb, Nun means to sprout, to grow. It's linked to fertility, productiveness, and regeneration. Death is there to free us, to help us let go of stagnation and fear so that we could recognize the true perfection of existence. Here, our old ideas, motives, and ambitions pass away, while new ones are born, so that we too can be born anew. Temperance represents the vibration that lies as the basis of all manifestation. It's the continuous pulsation of wave-like motion. Its letter is Samek, meaning tent peg. Like the foundations of a house, the tent peg makes the tent secure. It's what supports the whole structure. The Temperance key is also one of initiation, always testing us through trials of transformation, so that we may adapt and temper ourselves to a never-evolving universe. It reminds us that the only failure is the failure to try. The devil, or the adversary, represents the incongruity between our bondage to nature and our desire to rule over it. The devil's letter is Ayin, meaning eye. The eye gives us the gift of vision, but also the curse of illusion. The devil mockingly caricatures the higher self, always trying to invert its powers and possibilities. We often accept this vision through faulty observations and superficial reasoning. When we finally realize that the adversary is really our servant, we take the first step in freeing ourselves from the bondage of our own ignorance. The tower, or the lightning-struck tower, is the destructive force that tears down at the structures of what no longer serves us. Its letter is Pe, meaning mouth, as in the mouth that speaks. Like in the legend of the Tower of Babel, it also has the power to confound speech. Here, cataclysm strikes at what goes against the higher universal purpose, exploding before us in a sudden burst of truth, while breaking down the structures of ignorance and false reasoning. The star is related to self-reflection and meditation. She searches for truth in the depths of the subconscious. Her letter is Saze, meaning fishhook. The fishhook is an angling tool, a tool that dives within, searching and exploring the invisible world below the water's surface. Through patience, concentration, and meditation, the star becomes the birthplace of new ideas, where we can learn to draw from the subconscious a practically infinite amount of resources. The star signals the rebirth of the soul, awakening us to a new light with the potential to unveil some of nature's greatest mysteries. The moon represents body consciousness, operating at the level of the cells. Its letters Kuf, meaning back of the head, which stands for the part of the brain that functions without our conscious input. One of its main functions is to repair the body. As the reflected light of automatic consciousness, the moon can open us up to the seat of the vital soul, especially while in deep sleep or in a trance, and even more so through a daily practice of meditation, reprogramming the subconscious, which in turn reprograms the inner workings of the body. The sun represents the self in full regeneration, united with a powerful life-giving force. Its letters Reish, meaning the human head and face. The front of the head is the organizer, the director, the guiding power that controls the personality. The sun brings the scattered parts of the personality together in a more unified and efficient whole. We can now see how everything in nature, including ourselves, is fully energized and conscious. Judgment, or the Last Judgment, represents the everlasting life, which extends beyond any identifiable mode of consciousness. It holds the key to immortality. Its letter is Shin, meaning tooth, more specifically fang, as in a serpent's fang, which has the power to kill the false personality so that it may be fully reborn. With judgment, our regenerated being has been called into even higher modes of consciousness, where the personal self is on the verge of blending with the universal. We're now coming to realize that the individual soul is one with the all-soul, and that any concept of separation is in fact a delusion. The world, or the universe, is the very center of self, where one finds the palace of holiness, sustainer of all things. Its letter is Tav, meaning signature or cross. The cross stands for salvation, eternal life, while the signature implies a guarantee, that which makes a contract valid. The world unites the terrestrial to the cosmic, but at the same time shows us that even the highest levels of consciousness have limitations and laws. So if we wish to have dominion over manifested existence, we have to recognize and respect these natural laws. Only then will we be able to blend the three modes of consciousness, the self-conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious, in a world that is truly below as it is above. After the world, we return to the Fool, coming again full circle, so that we can more fully grasp the deeper teachings of the mysteries. The 10th key, the Wheel of Fortune, reminds us of this cyclical truth. Within the rotating wheel, we read the word Rota, Latin for wheel, but also the word tarot, where the first letter is also the last. Like the ever-spinning wheel, the tarot is always in the process of recycling itself, keeping tabs on all of the world's philosophies, traditions, and religions, in all periods of time, continuously boiling down the images of the collective unconscious.